Thank you for staying. Let's settle for the news now. And in our first story, former President John Mahama is asking religious leaders to speak truth to power. He says the situation where some churches become selective in their criticism of government is unacceptable. Addressing the induction ceremony of the new General Superintendent of the Assemblies of God Church, Ghana, the former president said the church had to be bold and direct government when things are not going right.
The church does not exist only to pray for leaders. It exists also to provide suggestions and guidance to leaders. Because after all, the church does not hang in the sky. The church exists in society. And whatever happens in society affects the church. Today, with the economic crisis that we are in, it affects our congregation all across the country. And so it's necessary for the church to continue speaking out anytime it thinks that things are not going properly. And that's why I want to congratulate the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Church Council for the recent letter that they addressed to government, giving some suggestions about what government should do in the midst of this crisis. And I expect that this should be done no matter which government is in office. There are many times when men of God and moral society who should speak up become quiet when one government is in and then become very loud when another government is in. We must not shout "Jansa for we're here" in one government and then go quiet in another one. I know that some churches have convention centers and places like that, beautiful places like that. And I note the church of my former chairman, the Pentecost Church, have a very beautiful convention center outside Kaswa there somewhere. But I spoke with Reverend Wengham and we conspired, and I'm telling Elder Ofosuampofo to tell Reverend Nyamiche that our centenary village is going to be bigger and more beautiful than your convention center. And may it not suffer the fate of some national cathedrals that I know. We shall build this one, and I'll be one of the chief fundraisers.
Now, the chairman of the governing council of the Simon Diedong Dombo University of Business and Integrated Development Studies, Kweku Yamwa Paintel, is worried about the number of uncompleted projects at the university. He wants government to give the university its fair share of development to address the infrastructural deficit. Mr. Paintel made the appeal at the first graduation of the SDD UBITS in Wa, from where Joy News' Rafiq Salam reports.
The Simon Diedong Dombo University of Business and Integrated Development Studies, SDD UBITS, formerly the Wa campus of the University for Development Studies, UDS, became autonomous in 2019 following the enactment of the University Bill and approved by Parliament of Ghana. The aim of SDD UBITS, among others, is to provide higher education, disseminate knowledge related to development in business and development studies, undertake research, and foster relationship with organizations and persons outside the university. The graduation held for 1,176 students who have pursued various courses in the weekend Masters in Business Administration and regular diploma programs is therefore the first by the university since its attained autonomous status. Thousands of graduates, upon completion of their courses at the various universities in the country, join the unemployment wagon and look up to government for employment. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, in a speech read on his behalf by Deputy Minister of Education, Gift Chum Ampafo, however, urged graduates to be different.
You should not go out there and sit down and fold your arms with the excuse that there are no jobs, because the jobs are with you. You have the privilege, first ever graduates, to have the skills and the development of all that we expect. And with the kind of lecturers you have here, I expect much more from you. Create job opportunities with the knowledge and skills you acquired, and employ people to close the employment gaps in the country.
He said, government since 2017 has been working to create a needed peaceful and stable environment for businesses to grow. Hence, government commitment and investment in technical and vocational education.
We've also equipped a number of technical institutions, the TVET institutions, to ensure that if these investors need engineers and technicians, they will have those who are globally competitive. It is not only the TVET institutions that we have refurbished, retooled, facelifted. Likewise, the technical universities, the 10 technical universities, we've also done a lot by equipping them.
For the umpteenth time, the issue of infrastructure deficit at SEZ was repeated in both the speech of the Vice Chancellor and the Chairman of the Governing Council. Behind me is this huge structure and other structures at the university of whose work is moving at a snail's pace.
It is interesting to know that the university from its inception in 2019 is yet, I repeat, is yet to benefit from any of the development projects from the government. And it's our firm conviction that government will remember to give us a fair share of the national cake to help address the infrastructural deficit. Get fund projects, which have also been stalled over the period, should be completed to ease the pressure being mounted on the mega facility of the university.
But we are also hoping that government will rise up to the occasion, provide the fundamentals, including the completion of our library complex and the lecture halls that we so need for the expansion of the university.
Apawa's Regional Minister, Dr. Hafiz bin Sali, however, has some assurance for the university.
All the issues that have been enumerated here are well known to me, and the council chairman as well as the VC know that these are things that have been pursuing to ensure that government places priority attention on these issues. So I want to assure you that we will do whatever we can.
In our next story, non-governmental organization World Vision Ghana says government's decision to revert to the use of the English language as the medium of instruction at the early grades will defeat its investments in the educational sector over the past years. According to the NGO, government must hold broader stakeholders' engagement before it rolls out the new policy. Project Officer, Education and Life Skills Kennedy Amponsah-Chireme spoke during this year's celebration of International Mother Language Day at Kejebi in the Oti region.
For us in World Vision, we believe that the mother language is the first language the children or any child is exposed to right from birth. And so if they are taught in such a language, that is what they know. It helps them to understand and appreciate what teachers are teaching. And they are able to ride on that to learn another language. And so our project has been championing the use of mother language when you look at learning route and unlock literacy. But as we speak, government policy is encouraging the use of English at the expense of the mother language. And we think, and research has also proven, that is not very helpful, because then the children are learning from the unknown to the known, instead of learning from the known to the unknown. The celebration of this Mother Language Day has been an advocacy tool. There has been a lot of activities. There's been discussions at the national level, and at the area program level, we are also doing this. So today's program is to also create awareness and advocate for the use of mother language in schools, especially the lower primary levels. We want to suggest that government does a broader consultation on this very important decision, and it is our hope that in future, if not immediately, we will revert to the use of the mother language in our schools.
Now, moving on from there, some aggrieved farmers in Ashiem, a suburb of Nkoranza in the Bono East region, are appealing to government to help reclaim their farmlands after some members of the Nkoranza traditional area allegedly sold their land to foreign investors. The farmers say their produce is being destroyed by these developers, a situation they say would compound their economic woes if not addressed. Anas Sabit was in that community and came through with this report.
Have
destroyed all our farm produce. What do we do now together with our children and the next generation? All we are saying is that they should sell the entire community to the developers because we are tired now. These aggrieved residents of Ashayim, cladded in red and black, are up in arms with the Nkoranza Traditional Council for allegedly selling their farmlands to unknown investors, thereby putting them out of business. The affected group, who are mainly farmers, say their crops are currently being destroyed by these developers without prior notice and compensation. Nana J. Poku is the Dikru of the community. We visited the Nkoranza Traditional Council after we were told about the sales of the lands, and we were driven away. At least between 200 and 300 farmers have been affected and will oppose these sales because we can't leave this community. And that is why we are calling on you to come to our aid. These farmers, whose lives, including supporting their children's education, solely depend on what they earn from their farms, say the situation, if not addressed, would mean they will have to stay unemployed, a situation that would compound to their economic hardships.
We are pleading the chiefs and government, including MPs and MCE, that they should help us. Women and children in Atashem here, we are suffering from that matter because it's farming that we are doing to take care of our children. But if they collect the land, where will we go? All the land surrounding us, they have collected it. So we are pleading. They should collect the land for us so that we also take care of our children.
We took the pain to visit some of the affected farms, and we met these excavators clearing the lands as narrated by these aggrieved farmers. I came to meet the excavator destroying my farm and some of the workers taking advantage to take my yams and cassava. I have 5 children now. What are we going to feed on from now onwards? So we are appealing to government to intervene before we die of hunger.
President Obia omufo mumwa no mmabuan na saa nima no esun de re entimi ntwa na nya saa de a enuru be wan hwe a ewudi ri nema ense fata ebetima si kuro nu ayaya ni bi sempa ene gina aye kasa no.
This aggrieved group have a common plea. They call on regional authorities and government to intervene in order to save the situation. Bismarck J. Poku is the chairman of the group.
Ashemko yesi ye de ha na yete adwuma ye ya na ekwadwuma ti sesana tede a yeso ya mpene afie no ntona na bia so ana ye no kwato bia so because ehun se obi aka.
This has been our only source of livelihood, and so we won't allow anyone to claim these lands.
So munnim na sa mu de gadabela si asase no so bia
and so we are calling on the gods for land to deal with anyone who lawfully destroy our farm produce. Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Ashayim.
Now, the Ghanaian Society of Cardiology wants government to efficiently manage rural-urban migration to ensure a healthy population. President Dr. Alfred Doku observes a lack of recreational centers has hindered the practice of healthy lifestyles. He was speaking at the 5th Annual General and Scientific Meeting in Kumasi.
Over 90 million people die annually from cardiovascular diseases globally. Strokes and heart diseases are the leading causes of death in Ghana. Dr. Alfred Doku thinks a development plan that incorporates establishment of recreational centers is key to ensuring a healthy lifestyle.
We need to manage this urbanization properly. Okay, rural-urban migration should be managed by government properly. Government should enact policies that will make sure that yes, you don't build dedicated areas for pavement for walking, or parks for walking, all these in designated areas. Most time people build on those places, and then the whole community doesn't have a social center, doesn't have a walking lane or things like bicycle lane. We don't have this in the society. So I think government needs to take both steps, making sure that yes, before you're giving a permit, you're not building, there are necessary structures in place to make sure that these things are available for people to enjoy and to live a healthy lifestyle.
The annual meeting is under the theme Gender and Cardiovascular Health. Recent findings have established men are 50% likely to die from heart diseases as compared to women. Dr. Doku entreated men to be mindful of their health.
Okay, when it comes to cardiovascular disease, affects both men and women. Men tend to die more from cardiovascular disease, especially in Africa, because the health-seeking behavior of men is really low. If you go to a typical hospital, 70% of those who are accessing health in our hospital are women or children. The rest, only 20 to 30% are men. Okay? So men are likely to detect, the cardiovascular disease quite late. One, they are not diagnosed with hypertension early, and they tend to have this stroke and heart diseases, which usually in advanced stage. Women, even when it comes to the management, women are more compliant, with management. So if you give medication to a woman, she's likely to take it. She's likely to monitor her blood pressure at home. She's likely to do a lot of healthy, lifestyle activity compared to men.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
Our next story now, and traditional authorities at Ziavi in the whole municipality of the Volta region want government to speed up construction work on the Ziavi and Fuega roads. Paramount Chief Togbega Kweku Eyim IV underscored the economic significance of a better road network in the area. Fred Kwame reports.
The Abazonli Festival was instituted to commemorate the exodus of 7 communal groups from Nochie in Togo under the leadership of King Agokoli. The groups thereafter settled at present-day Ziavi, Etondome, Kpando Anyegbe, Kpeje Tojin, Botoku, Mepe, and Ando in Togo. Addressing the Grand Deba of the 11th edition of the Abazonli Festival, the Paramount Chief of Ziavi Traditional Area, Togbega Koku Ayim, called for unity among the 7 traditional areas. He, however, lamented the deplorable state of the road networks in his area and called for government's intervention. We are happy construction works have resumed on the Ziavi and Fueta road network. We are appealing to the government to ensure the contractor does not abandon the project, but should continue and complete it. The access road from Ho to Ziavi Jogbe is in a bad state. We want it reconstructed to join the Amfueta road. This would make traveling from Ho to Amfueta comfortable. The Chief of Staff, Madame Frema Osei Opari, promised to ensure the timely completion of the projects.
Upon successful completion of Agenda 111 projects, all districts in Ghana will be in a position to boast of the provision of a healthcare infrastructure in line with government's commitment of ensuring universal health care to all citizens in the attainment of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 3. I would like to assure you of my sincerest commitment towards the successful completion of whatever we have started together in Ziavi. In doing so, I take careful note of the request tabled by the Paramount Chief including the plan to construct a residential accommodation for healthcare staff. The idea to construct a facility such as this to serve Ziavi and its environs is commendable and complements government efforts towards ensuring equitable access to health care.
There was a shared display of culture and tradition at the Deba, which was attended by all 7 traditional areas belonging to the Abazonli Union. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Ziavi.
And from Ziavi and Fueta, that's how we cap off the news this morning. But stay with us in the next few minutes. We'll be joined by Sulemana Brahma as we get into the latest news items from the papers. We'll be right back.